Welcome to the Chewing the Fat podcast, where real topics are discussed by fake individuals with fake opinions. Even if it's the host or the guest, don't take them seriously. And if you do get offended, guess what? Shit happens. Leave it below in the comment section. Let's roll.
Yeah, talk about be better. Let's be a better world, because we're about to talk about our esteemed, very popular brother Traoré in Burkina Faso situation. And we're gonna play this clip, and I'm gonna play this clip, and I'm telling you, this is not AI. I thought it was real disrespectful, and it really all it was is racism. Right. He had a live stream with a journalist some weeks ago, came out, I think about our time zone. It was about 0130, 0200 in the morning. Okay. You know, because my situation, I'm up, kind of just up. So I said, I'm gonna check this live stream out. Brother, you don't know how many white motherfuckers is who it was. I'm just gonna call it like it is. Yeah. Oh, this is AI. Oh, this not real. And do you know why they were saying it was AI and why it wasn't real, bro?
Why?
They were saying it because of how intelligently he was speaking. That this could not be this black pirate or this black terrorist talking that grammatically correct when it came to the English language. So therefore, it had to be AI. It had to be something that was false. It was crazy. That's people's mind frame. Like, no, he can't be educated. No, he can't have a suitable language for us to, you know, intellectually understand him. That was crazy, bro. So I'm gonna play this clip. It's just not AI. Trust me. Other people besides white people are educated, and I'm gonna tell you, a lot of white people that you know in your past history, they weren't as smart as you damn thought they ass was. They was stealing. Hennessy stole that recipe. Jack Daniels stole that recipe. The cell phone, as my brother, the sick ADT security, black people. The golf tee, black people. So shit, the Egypt, you know, the pyramids, the shit still standing there, that's black people. So
famous Amos cookies.
Famous cookies is black. So it's just like anybody who feels that black people haven't done much, I would just like you to, you know, shut the hell up, read a book, read a real book, not these new textbooks coming out. So we're going to listen to Traoré talk for a second, and he makes a very valid point. So let's go ahead and play this clip.
Let's see what we got.
Let us speak plainly. Burkina Faso is rich, Africa is rich in minerals and culture and wisdom and youth. But you have taught us to measure richness in GDP and export value. You call it development when a foreign company owns 90% of a gold mine on our land. You call it progress when your security forces guard cobalt mines but not our children's schools. That is not progress, that is piracy with legal documents. From now on, we will define development on our own terms.
That's a problem.
Africa unite.
That's a problem.
Okay, now it makes sense. You know why the pouring out of hate toward him. You know, he wasn't belligerent. He wasn't ignorant. You know, he was precise and exact to the point. He said, y'all was in military to guard your cobalt mines that mine and steal our resources. But you won't send military to guard the kids' schools.
Not at all.
He said no more.
No more. It's a problem, man. To me, it's a problem.
What?
It's a problem to me because this is going to be, I hope it's not, but I think it is. I cannot remember any black, powerful, educated leader that has stood up to have the motivation and the thought process of uniting black people in the world and starting in his country, because that's where he got to start. But you heard several of his messages like, yo, we all really need to come together and then take steps and actions to reclaim resources in Africa that belong to Africa from European investors, and then tell them you have to go. This is ours now, and then whatever we get from here, we are going to use to build ourselves, because it is ours. And Africa is rich in everything, and it is very sad that Africa is rich in everything. Africa has started everything. The beginning started in Africa, and yet Africa owns very little of itself. And that is what's crazy. You got Trump sending over planes to bring South Africans that are only white over here, like they are being oppressed. You never sent those working in the diamond mines, kids under 5 and 6 years old in the mud digging out for minerals in their country, yet they are not benefiting anything from that because the white Europeans are. And so when I see him, bro, I think about Gaddafi. Because
Brother, that's my thought.
Bro, he wants to get this. When you start dipping into the currency aspect of things, that's when shit starts getting worrisome for him. Because that's a big taboo at this point in time. Gaddafi was taken out because he wanted to put Africa on the gold standard. He wanted to stop all the little areas and unite as nations. And then he wanted to be able to build his country with the gold, with the money, and change it. And they was like, hell no. Because you uniting your people and then putting you on the gold standard when we know how rich your country is in minerals and how much we use and rape your country to basically propel the technological world, that means you're asking us to be civilized and not the savages we are, so that you can put yourself on an equal playing field, and then you can charge us real and legitimate wages for what we've been raping you for all this time. And for that, you got to go. And now I just wonder how long Brother Traoré is going to last, because they've never allowed it on the biggest stage. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, they've always found a way to try to take out somebody that was willing to take the point and start uniting and then exploding ideas in our head of rebellion and standing up for ourselves. They don't want to have it, brother. Dan DeVille is it's worrisome for me for him. And sometimes I wish it's just, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way. I'm not a derelict father, or I'm not wanting to be. But sometimes I do wish, or let me not say wish, sometimes I do think that if I had not had the family and the kids, how much more extreme I could allow myself to be in this world to fight for my people on a different line with a different cause. And I'm just keeping it a buck. I might be sounding like a radical, but I think there's some radicalness inside of me that is somewhat hamstrung because there's so much I'm responsible for. How can you go out here and just jettison your family and then, be on the other side? But I talk too much, brother. Go ahead. Let me know what you think.
No, brother, you ain't talking too much, man. You said something valuable, because any man should have some radicalness in him. Whatever race you are, you should have some radicalness up that you're going to stand against wrong and you're going to stand up for right. When we talk about Brother Traoré over in Burkina Faso, this is an interesting situation because he's recently aligned himself with Putin in Russia. Russia sent them troops. Russia sent them weapons. Now this is a deep conversation. It's a real wormhole that we can go down, but it's deep. Africa sits where it sits as a continent. Now, they had the choice. You can choose the West, the white man of the West, or you can choose the white man of the East. Right. Both are warmongers.
Facts.
However, the one in the West allies himself with those that are taking advantage of the country.
Right.
And they won't provide aid. They won't align themselves with that country and with that cause for that country to build unless they have a stake in it.
There you go.
It's no different when you take the man from the East, Putin in Russia.
Right.
He's gonna have a stake in it too.
True.
It's interesting when you got to pick who's the best devil.
Boom. There it is, right there.
That's real interesting, and it's sad. I don't fear for the brother's safety for that particular reason. However, what I do see is I see Russia making a play for positioning of something that's going to take place here in the near future. Their positioning. It's the same as what happened with the brother Gaddafi. His people were happy. From all research I've done, the people were happy. Mm-hmm. People had resources. They were self-sustained. They received dividends,
right,
from the resources of that country.
Right.
Those people were well taken care of, from what I understand. For the model that the brother Traoré is trying to replicate in Burkina Faso, is admirable. You know, if the United Nations and these factions believe in what's right, provide assistance. You know, you can provide assistance. You can provide oversight.
There you go.
You know. So it's not malicious things taking place. You know, if you really want to help. Right. You know, but when the actions are taken that are being taken, you see, it's not a want to help. It's a what you got for me. You know, we can do this the easy way, we can do this the hard way. You know, you can give it to us, or we can just take it. You know, so it's sad, but again, it's a repeating story. You know, however, we don't have many countries that are successful in what they're doing. Hell, it's I commend the brother for what he's doing. You know, because if we were to trade places and let's say we live here in Georgia and we were under a civil unrest, boom, and every state for itself, and the state of Georgia is just destitute, and you're a military officer. You know, you worked up through the ranks. You understand. You got the respect of the people. And he said, "Look, enough is enough. Enough is enough, man. How many of y'all with me? This the way we're gonna go about this." So I commend the brother. I commend him. It's damn sure admirable.
It is admirable and it's gutsy.
It is.
And I will say that I hope that he is successful on a larger scale than we have ever witnessed or been taught in the history books during our lifetime. So that this might propel and ignite a revolution and a movement for generations to come. That is what I will say for the positive thing, because, and I'll say this before we move on to our next topic, is I've considered moving out of the country and going to Africa and doing all this. But the fact is, when you think about it, it's like, yo, medical treatment sucks. And you got to be concerned about these things as well. And we just have to get on. Matter of fact, that's one conversation that we're going to have with Brother Bridges, man, is how did we start out so far in front and yet get so far behind to where we are now? Because I think there's a disconnect there that I'm not making the connections on, because, you know, there's a lot of talk out there, and we gonna even get like a little bit spacey and UFO alien out of it, because there's a lot of that technological advances that were made from our people, our descendants. Then you just start wondering, like, okay, if all this shit's the case, then why is it? And it might be as simple as the answer is, it's not that it wasn't, it's that it's been burnt to shit, so you never knew that it happened. Like the best way. One of the best ways to keep you from thinking or feeling like you belong somewhere is to erase where you come from, so you don't know that you came from there. So like now, and you know, I did this one little poll one time. I went out around my community, random people I would come up to, and I would ask them, and I was asking them like, okay, what do you think the earliest point of our history is? Bro, 90% of those people, and I'll even go to 89 just so it might be but I really think it's 90%. Like I think I can't even remember anybody who said anything different. I'm just saying 90% to try to be ethically responsible about a statistic.
That's right.
But majority of those people, brother, pretty much said slavery. Nobody mentioned Egypt. Nobody mentioned the Nile. Nobody mentioned the Nubians. Nobody mentioned the Moors. And I'm talking about, and I've talked to a range of people from 70 years old to 20 something years old, and they pretty much majority all said slavery. So if you think that your point of origin is slavery, well then shit, you ain't doing so bad right now. So what are you complaining about type situation, right? But if we allow all the literature and the documentation and the historical data to stay around to show that you created this and we stole it, you did this and then we took the credit for it, you actually had all of this and we just actually elaborated off of it, well then you start thinking like, well, motherfucker, you owe me. This is my shit. Really, this is my shit, honestly. So I definitely, that's why I really want to have that conversation with Brother Bridges, man, to bring him in so we can get a little bit more wild with it. And then he can kind of explain some things and then we need to have more conversations like that. And that's going to be really interesting.
That's real. Sure. That's real, brother. A part of like what you said about how do we lose it? If we had it all in the beginning, it's human nature.
I remember because you said something about cycles one time. We was talking to you. Was talking about cycles,
right? It's human nature. So if we were at a point where we had it all, if you look at any point in your personal life, any point in business, any point out here in the world, in the nation, anytime a group of people come together for long enough, as they begin to grow, you start looking at what the other one got. Jealousy comes. Jealousy. It's those deadly sins. You know, and again, that's on a religious tip, but hey, it applies.
It does.
You know, jealousy is a wicked thing, brother.
It is.
It's a wicked thing, man. I believe that's a big part of the problem.
Okay.
Even when you look at any culture, nothing lasts for too long because of that jealousy.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, they begin to tear one another apart. It begins to eat itself from the inside out. It's a cancer.